Vince, how are you doing, sir?
Doing well. Watched a great game last night, and I am from Ohio, so I was going for LeBron.
Now, okay, so you're from Ohio, but still like LeBron. I know a lot of the folks in the Ohio area are sort of salty. They've got, as my man Bomani would call it, shade about how angry they are. All right, but you still like him.
Well, I actually know him, so I know his mom real well. He actually, when he was in high school, they used to stop by when they used to state championship games. They would come by our house. Another buddy who grew up in Akron, which is like 35 minutes from Youngstown. So I kind of know him a little bit, and you pull for him. But a lot of people in Ohio they were pretty upset with you.
I get a feeling you know everybody. I mean, I see. That. Is that right? I mean, you have a very gregarious personality, and I think that's part of what's been your success. You really seem to just like being around people.
Yeah, my high school coach told me when I was in 11th grade, he said, Vince, you're a gym rat. Once you get done playing ball, if you play pro ball, you should have a good shot doing that. But go into coaching because, a lot of people love being around you, and you just, love being around kids.
Well, now, I can tell that. Let's talk about what you've done so far. I mean, first of all, you're at Nebraska, right? You get a call. You grew up with Mark Stoops. Am I right about that?
Yes, Mark and Bo. Grew up with both of them.
Grew up with both of them. And what were they like? What was Mark like as a kid? Was he just a rambunctious youngster, or what?
He coming from a football family. His uncle was my older brother's coach at a city school in the South. So I was like probably about 9 years old. I think Mark's like 2 years older than me. So we first met when his uncle brought him to my brother's practice, and we just was down there and started playing on the sideline, and a couple years later we went to the same high school. So we always knew each other. It just grew more. Our bond grew more when I got in high school, and we went on after that. So
you're at Nebraska, and you hear that your buddy is going to be taking the job at Kentucky. Now, when that happens, do you think, wow, now that's something, I mean, you probably knew you were going to get a phone call about that. What do you think? Okay, I'm at Nebraska. That's Kentucky. What would your mindset be?
Well, the success, it was kind of tough, because Bo, he's a good friend, and, there's been a lot of stuff said when I left Nebraska. But, when I say Mark took the job, I think we were in the Big Ten championship. We were preparing for that, and the night before, Bo called me in my room and said, "Hey, I got a call from," we called Mark his nickname, so I ain't gonna say that.
Oh, what's his nickname? Oh, come on, we want to know the nickname.
Nobody will know. Just tweet us.
It's just us, man. Nobody else is here.
No, Mark had killed me. So.
All right. Can we guess? We all just guess until we get it right? No, okay.
Yeah, but he, it was a thing where, we was preparing to play to Wisconsin the next day, and, I said, man, let's just talk about it, after this is going and prepare for this game. But I knew it was kind of, it was tough for Bo. But, when I knew Mark got the job, I'm going to be honest with you, I seen Kentucky, SEC, close to Ohio. I was like, this can be a good thing.
So that combination, SEC and close to Ohio, where you had a ton of ties, that was a big part of it, right? Probably for you and Stoops, that combination. Am I right?
Yes. His name it carries real deep in Ohio. His uncle's dad. His dad he was our high school coach for 40-some years. And, with the success Bob had and Mike, the name just carries a lot of weight there. And then with me living in probably 75% of the state of Ohio, I just knew a lot of people.
Worldwide Vince. Yeah. Or at least Ohio-wide Vince.
Just Ohio. But it was, I knew it could be a good thing because we was getting kids to come to Nebraska. And that was 12, 13
If you get a kid to leave from Ohio to Nebraska, they'll come to Lexington.
Oh, yeah. And I serious, I knew that this can be a good thing.
Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk more with Vince Marrow about all the things they've done. They've done an amazing job recruiting. We'll find out why and talk a little bit about their strategies on that, and we'll take your phone calls. If you've got a question for one of UK's biggest recruiters, 502-571-1080, 877-904-1080, and we'll ask him, we going to be any good? We'll be right back. Welcome back to Kentucky Sports Radio, 502-571-1080. If you've got a question for Vince Marrow, give us a shout. We'll take a couple in this segment as well. Some people, Ryan, are guessing Stoops' name.
Oh, you knew that was going to happen.
And we've got Stoopaloop, which I think would be, that's from
Stoopaloop.
No, I think they're talking about that's from Old School with Will Ferrell. Also, Jax Teller asked, Vince, did you ever wish your voice had a huskier tone? He's not going to get that joke. But Jerry Tipton, who's a reporter here, asked Ryan Harrow, a UK basketball player, if he wished his voice had a huskier tone because it was real high. Right. I don't think yours needs a huskier tone. That is a great radio
Barry White's
voice. All right, so you guys have had a ton of success recruiting so far. I mean, it's been you can't talk about the players who committed this year, but you had guys from last year that you can talk about.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's happened? It seems to have surprised me. It was on the front page of Yahoo.com yesterday. First time a UK story in 2 years has been up there. Why do you think it's happened?
I think a couple reasons. My son went to Alabama in 2009. Coming out of high school out of Ohio, he was like the top fullback, ESPN #1 fullback in 2009. And his dream was he wanted to play in the SEC. And if I would have did my homework as a dad, I let him go 12 hours away to play at Alabama. And, because I played for Nick Saban at Toledo. But if I would have known what I know now, and if people were really recruiting Ohio the way we recruiting it, I would have sent, my son probably would have went to Kentucky or at least Tennessee. That's about 6 or.
So it's closer, yeah.
Very close. People are excited about, two things you sell. When I go recruit, you sell first the SEC, but then you sell two offenses. Offense and a defense. Neil Brown's offense is one of the top offenses in the country. I remember, speaking of my son, when we was at an Ohio State game in 2008, and he was at Troy. They almost beat Ohio State.
I remember that,
yeah. He was a young guy, and I was like, wow, that guy's pretty good offensive coordinator. And then you go up, and when I recruit defensive backs or defensive guys, it's more what Stoops did at Florida State, him and DJ. And so, kids now do their homework. They do their homework, and is everybody, you don't go to school and graduate, so you might as well go somewhere where you can fit in and have a system produced for you.
Let me ask you on that point. So and I understand this, you've recruited offensively on what Neil's done at Texas Tech, defensively on what Stoops and Elliott have done at Florida State. Let's say this year, and I'm not writing off this year by a million, but it's going to be, it's the hardest schedule in the country, right?
Right.
Is it harder next year? If this year's a little bit of a struggle, is it harder to recruit next year's class because you have to recruit on what's happened in this year at Kentucky? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I think not. Kids, if the best players we're going after in Ohio, but also all across the country, and kids want to play early, and they see opportunity here. And, my thing, again, if you want to play with the best, go play in the best league. It's 7 years of national championship. And if you live in Ohio and you're a 4-star, 5-star guy, you can go 2 hours from Columbus, an hour and 10 minutes from Cincinnati, 6 hours from Youngstown. So, it sells itself. And then you got to have, a coach that's in Ohio that's respected and, understand the lay of the land of how Ohio coaches are.
I used to say, and I've said this to you before, well, I don't think you can win big at Kentucky because they don't have enough players in the state of Kentucky and people stay close to home. But you guys changed the thought process because it seems to me you're considering Ohio home.
Yeah.
Like Ohio is Kentucky.
Yeah.
Am I right about that?
And a lot of our recruits, they joke about that, whether it's recruits in Kentucky or recruits in Ohio. They call it the pipeline. And for me, it's keeping the home talent here, whether it's the top 8 players or top 10 players, how many it is, keep them here, which I think Coach Stoops.
Y'all done a good job early
doing that.
Yeah.
And then we're in Ohio. They just been doing a lot of stories on this stuff about, we're getting out of the top 50. I think we got 9 of the top 30 in Ohio right now for 14 class.
That's pretty good. 502-571-1080. Let's take a call. Shannon, a question for Vince Marrow. How are you?
Let's go to Joe.
Joe, how are you, Joe?
Hey, I'm doing great. Hey, Coach, there's an old saying around here, there's SEC football speed and there's Big Ten football speed. When you're recruiting a young man up north, how is it really that important that he runs that 4.5, say he's a defensive back compared maybe to a 4.6 because of the SEC overall team speed, but is an athlete, or what do you really look for when you go up north in Ohio when you maybe say, can this kid play in the SEC? What are you actually looking for?
I'm glad you asked me that. That's a myth, number one.
Okay.
The greatest athlete.
Appreciate the call, Joe.
Yeah, the greatest athlete right now in the world is LeBron James, and he's from Akron, Ohio. And I can tell you right now, he's about a 4.3, 4.4 guy at 250. We recruit speed. We ain't gonna
all your guys. That's a common denominator I see is speed.
Yes, we're gonna recruit speed, whether they up north, south, wherever. We're going to recruit speed. We're going after the top guys. We're not going after no second-tier guys. So that's a good question. But, no, we're going to recruit speed wherever it is.
You guys I've said this a lot on the show, and this is what I like about you all. You all walk into the room, and you have a confidence of, I don't care who we're going against, we can get them. I've heard a number of high school coaches say that in conversations with you guys privately. You've said that to me. I think you said to me the other night, I don't bow down to anyone.
No.
Am I right about that?
No, that's right. This is a great university, and it's the SEC, and it's great football here. And like I said, we're going after the top players. So
there you go. Who's next?
Let's go to Kevin.
Kevin, how are you, Kevin?
How you doing, guys?
What's up?
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm a former football player, and I've been an all-time Kentucky Cats fan. And I just want to thank Vince and the whole coaching staff for letting me be able to be excited about football again. It's been, and not in my lifetime since I've been able to be excited. And Vince, before this year, we get 4 stars here and there, not a lot of them. But are y'all having any luck with 5 stars and getting the top ranked players into Kentucky?
I appreciate the call. There's a little bit of a myth. There aren't that many 5-star guys. It's just a handful of guys. No. I would assume that if there are ones that you think are in the area, you're going to go for them, but there's just not many, right?
No, but that's a good question. But, Matt, that's the truth. There's not that many because it's hard to, you rank a guy 5-star. There's no difference from a 5 and a 4. But the guys we're going after, they all have major BCS offers, and, we feel we're on the right guys.
I worry about the stars less than I always do the who else offered them. What I've noticed from you guys, and no offense to people who've been here in the past, we used to beat the Troys of the world. Ryan and I talk about if we walked in the room with Troy, we were getting the guys. Now you all are beating some teams with huge names, and that to me is the best way to evaluate how good a kid is who else has offered him. Am I right about doing it that way?
Yes. We also offer kids who we may have been their second offer, but after we offer them,
then other people do.
But majority, you're right. All the guys we offered had major BCS offers.
Talk to me about the caller just mentioned the fans. The fans here have been starved for a winner. Let's be real. It's been 35 years since they've had a really good team here. Had some decent teams in the last decade, but really it's been a long time. Haven't had an SEC winning record since the mid-'80s, something like that. Can you sense how hungry this fan base is to have a successful team?
Yes. I was blown away. I was told how the spring game was going to be, but, you should say, okay, maybe 30,000. But I tell you, coming out for that catwalk, even Coach Stoops, we were like, wow. You can just see it. And a guy told me when I first took the job, he said, Coach, this is really a football state, too. And I said growing up, I thought it was a basketball state, but you can see that I see the passion every day when I go out. If I go to a restaurant, if I go to a grocery store, you'll be amazed at the excitement of people. They just very fired up.
Just wait for those first few games. It's going to be a lot of fun. 502-571-1080, 877-904-1080. When we come back, we'll take a couple more of your questions for Vince Marrow. And Vince, here's what I'm going to do. This guy right here, Ryan Lemon, he may not look like your kind of recruit. He's short, he's small, he's slow. He's a little chubby. But I'm going to have you act like you're walking into the room to recruit Ryan Lemon, and I want to hear your sales pitch. Will you do that for me after the break?
I'll do that.
I like it. We'll be right back. This is Kentucky Sports Radio. Welcome back, Kentucky Sports Radio, 502-571-1080. We're watching this footage of the Aaron Hernandez thing. Crazy stuff, isn't it, Coach? I'm getting harassed by Rick here says, refer to him as Coach Marrow, not Vince. He's doing too well, so I will call you Coach. Isn't this nuts, what's been going on?
Yeah, and the kid just signed a big contract, too. So, you hope and pray that it's not what it is.
Not what it looks like. 502-571-1080. All right, here's where we're going to go. This is Ryan Lemon. He played, what high school did you go to?
Bug Tussle High School.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's what Tony and I decided. Bug Tussle.
What's the name of your high school?
Pike Central High School.
Pike Central High School. He was a wide receiver, not the speediest, not the best hands, but you're coming in and you're wanting him. You're going to give the sales pitch that you give. This is the Coach Marrow sales pitch that's getting all these kids. Go ahead.
Okay, young man, how you doing? I'm Coach Marrow.
Coach, it's an honor to meet you, sir.
Yes. I've been watching a lot of your film, and your film sticks out to me.
Thank you.
I really like what I see.
Thank you, sir.
Now, you're a little short, but
I make up for it in heart, though, Coach.
Oh, and that's what we want.
Yeah.
We want guys to have heart.
Yes, sir.
And I can look at the passion in your eyes.
Yes, sir.
So let me tell you a little bit about us at Kentucky.
Okay.
First staff, young coach, great defensive-minded guy, but also I think he's a coach that has a great vision for this university. And, looking at our offense, I don't know where you'll fit in.
Well, I would love to be a part of it, Coach. That air raid offense, I think it's something I could really help with.
How fast are you?
I'm really fast. I think I ran a 5.340 last week.
Oh. Yeah. Son, you ever thought about going to like a Division III school?
Very nice. I love it. I get. Well, listen. If you got Division III, that would work for you.
That would be great.
Still get an
great
education.
Players come out of there.
Let me ask you something I've always wondered about when it comes to recruiting these guys. In basketball, you're recruiting 4 or 5 guys, and so you kind of know, okay, we have room for this. You're recruiting 25, maybe occasionally 26, 27 guys. You got a lot of offers out there. How do you make sure? I mean, you guys have gotten so many commitments this year. How do you make sure you're getting the commitment that you want? You may have offered this guy, but you like this guy over here. How's that juggling work?
Well, it starts at the top. I think Mark does a great job. We sit as a staff, and every staff watches the recruit that we put up, and it's either a yay or a nay. And if it's a yay, we all send out the offer.
How many minutes of clips are you watching for a yay or a nay?
See, I call Neil the mad scientist. So when we do it on the offensive side, we can be in there all day,
really?
Just watching guys. But, thoroughly, you want to go through and get the right guys.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that the position coach, the coordinator, but obviously the head coach, everybody signs off on it.
Yeah. 502-571-1080. Who's next, Shannon?
Let's go to Brian.
Brian, how are you, Brian?
Hey, Matt, how you doing today?
Good. What's up?
I just had a question for Mr. Coach Marrow there. I just want to, first of all, say thanks for getting us excited about football again. I'm a diehard basketball fan. Football, I was kind of in the ho-hum state, but now I'm pumped up and ready to go, and I hope things continue. I actually have a question for you. I have a son who's really involved in football. He attends a lot of camps, been playing for years now. And my question for you is, I hear so many different coaches, that say the strength and conditioning and this and that. What do you really look for in kids that just, is it based on their position or is it strength, speed? What are some of the things that, I can maybe tell him or talk to him that, can keep him going on the path to playing football down the road?
Appreciate the call. What do you look for in a player? And if you're giving advice to people, what do you focus on?
I think the biggest mistake parents make, they, let your kid grow. Don't try to be strong and lift all kind of weights. We look for speed. If a kid is naturally fast, he's fast. Let your kid ability take over. If he don't put weight on him. It's just a thing where you want to look at an athlete and say, hey, if a kid's in the 9th grade or 8th grade and he's running a 4.6 and a 4.7 in the 8th grade, he's probably going to project the run probably by his junior year, probably about a 4.5.
Yeah.
So just let the athleticism and just, work on his flexibility. If I can tell you anything, work on his flexibility and work on his speed.
Have him do yoga, right?
I did it.
You did yoga?
Yeah, I did yoga. This is when I was playing. I did yoga. A
lot of players do that. They don't talk about it, but there's a lot of them. It's good for your core,
it's
right?
Good for your core. It's good for your mind. It's good.
502-571-1080. Who's next, Shannon?
DJ.
DJ, how are you, DJ? Turn your radio down, DJ. Go ahead.
I hung up on him. RP.
RP, how are you, RP?
Hey, man, I'm doing well. Hey, Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, buddy.
Coach, I went to Troy, and I played football there. I was there when Neil was the offensive coordinator back when we had Levi as our quarterback. And I'm wondering, how inventive has he gotten since then with this spread offense, and what kind of new little nuances can you expect to see next year from what he had at Troy?
This is a common question I appreciate I hear because we had Mummy here, so we know a little bit about the offense. What's the difference, as the caller was saying, maybe between Neil Brown and what we had with Hal Mummy? What will we see?
Neil is really a smart guy, and I think what was good for him now is he has, along with Hal Mummy's offense, Neil has bought the portion of 2 tight ends. We can be in 3 tight ends. We can get in power sets. We can get in spread sets. So it's more of multiple sets now, still with a high tempo pace. And I actually think that's that makes you even more dangerous because, if you high tempo, then we come in with 3 tight ends and run power, and run the ball down people's throat. I mean, so he's more inventive now, and he added more to this offense.
Now, you're also the tight end coach. We've heard a lot about that maybe the weakest position early on, or the one that, weakest not the word, but the one where you need the most players is at wide receiver.
Yes.
Talk to me about that. What do you do at wide receiver? Do some of those tight ends play wide receiver? Do you use more 2-3 tight end sets? What's going to happen?
It's like we talk about this. It's like when I played, if your tight ends are better than, if you got 12 personnel, instead of being in 10, you can get in 12 personnel, put 2 tight ends on the field like we did in Nebraska. We had 2 pretty good tight ends. So if the tight end group is a little bit more better than your 3rd and 4th receiver, then you're probably going to be in, another tight end. But in this offense, you can take backs and put them as wide receivers. I mean, I was at Nebraska. We were high tempo. This is a higher tempo offense. And is it going to, Neil Brown had suggested maybe try to run more plays than any team in the country. Is that the goal? That's the goal. We had a pretty good pace in the spring. That's a pretty good goal. More plays than any team in the country. I'll take it. Hey, we can go down, especially early. Go down swinging. Go down swinging. That's right. Who's next?
Al.
Al, how are you, Al? Al.
Okay, let's try Ed.
Ed, how are you, Ed?
Hey, Coach.
How you doing?
Pretty good. Hey, I just want to say thanks. You're bringing the excitement back. I've been a Wildcat fan all my life, born a Wildcat fan, so this is really exciting to me. And just want to let you know I live up here in Greater Detroit, and it's only a 6.5-hour drive, so come on down here and get some of these Michigan boys, too, okay?
Oh, we coming.
I love it.
I hear you. I'm ready, man. I'm ready for the season, man. This is, it's just great. So I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Appreciate the call. Now, last year, you only had 2 or 3 months to get a recruiting class together. You came in at 29 in the rankings, which was the highest ranking in the history of this school. I don't have to tell people, because we talked about it a lot, that right now you're ranked number 1. Right. Now, that probably won't stay, but it's still looking to be a top 10, top 12 class. I get asked this all the time. How good can this be? Not both in a recruiting and in a, playing standpoint. How good can it be? What's the level that you genuinely think this program can attain in recruiting and then in on the field?
When we had the 13 class, and I think a reporter asked me, he said, "Wow, this is this is crazy. You guys are in, I think they said 26 or 25 or something like that." And we only had like 6 weeks. I mean, we were grinding, and I just switched shirts with Nebraska recruiting.
Calling all those people. You remember when I was wearing that other shirt? Now I got this one on.
Yeah, so we were just doing all that. But I made a point, and I told the guy, I said, just give us a year and see what we do. I said, we're already on some of the top 14 guys, in Ohio. And I said, I think we're going to be a top 10, a top 15 class. I mean,
you're right there.
Yeah, we're right there now. How good it can be, I brought up. I mean, I'm not comparing us to Alabama, but I know Coach Saban real well. And I remember when he went to Alabama, they were down. They lost to some very low teams, but he had a plan. His first year he came in, he recruited. I think the first class was like in the top 10. Yeah. And then my son's class was the number 1 class in 2009. And he did the same thing at Toledo. You got to change the culture. And I think that's what I know that's what Mark is doing. He's changing the culture. There's excitement. The support staff is great. Everybody's on the same page. You all got to be on one accord. And when you do that, along with recruiting, we bringing these kids on campus, their parents see it. And I'm just telling you, I think it can be. I'm not shocked. I'm being honest with you. I think you can do a lot of things here at Kentucky. Like I said, it's right by Ohio. It's 6 hours away from Atlanta, and you got good support, and you got a great fan base. So I think it can be done here.
Sky the limit?
Sky's the limit.
You came here in December. It is now June. Honestly, did you think you'd have this much success, excitement this early? I know you haven't played a game yet, but just in all the other stuff?
Now, you asked me in recruiting or just
in the whole thing, the 50,000 people at the spring game, all this stuff. I mean, did you think it would be this sort of exciting?
I got to be honest. I mean, coming from Nebraska, where the fan base is pretty nuts.
I mean, we were second in spring game attendance. To be fair, they were first.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this: they watch everything we do now on their sites. They on their sites. Oh my God, Kentucky is number 1 in football, not basketball. They have 52-some thousand fans at the spring game. So I am a little excited. I mean, I'm a little amazed at what's going on, but it's great, and it's great for the state, and it's great for everybody, and it's great for the university.
Coach Vince Marrow, thank you very much for taking the time to come here. I got to say, I mean, this is on a personal level. I'm not going to say I'd given up on football. Tony Neely's sitting there. He'd be mad at me if I'd say that. But I kind of had thought, well, this is going to be what it's going to be, and we just deal with it.
Right.
You guys have sort of injected an energy. You got me as a believer. And anybody who's been here a long time, especially the longtime football fans, would say, Matt was never a believer. They're probably right. You guys have it going, and as a fan, I appreciate it. It's been very exciting, and good luck to you in this first year.
And we thank you for your support. A lot of people follow your radio show, and we just going to try to do something great here.
And then just consistently beat Louisville. And then